it was very important to me to make this regional B team, making sure that it was a doing group. I suppose we've gone a little bit from, why act in terms of something, to let's roll up our sleeves, let's really be honest with each other in terms of what works, what doesn't work. Let's understand that none of us are going to meet our target, especially the tough ones like Scope 3 and the transition plans, and even now adding nature positive into it and AI. And then what we can do is, if we can resolve the hard issues, then what we can do then is compete on the execution side of it, right? So for us, it's very much roll up the sleeves, get together and get it done. I think there are a few different barriers that the CEOs can go through. Sometimes they feel that some of the concepts like the Scope 3, where of course you have to work with your whole value chain, that's really complex, and so therefore it makes CEOs a bit more hesitant about what they're doing. Another barrier, I think, is some companies have their sustainability group and they just have climate as kind of one of the initiatives in sustainability. But I think it's way beyond that, right? If we're going to meet our targets, you have to make it a major stream within the business to take that seriously. There are others in terms of feeling a bit, is this too much risk, right? Because sometimes a lot of people can talk about, and we're CEOs, right? And we've been taught all of our lives that we can't talk to our competitors, we can't share data, we can't share pricing. But if you make it pre-competitive, and if you start to get the confidence of the CEOs up, once you get over this fear that maybe you might be doing the wrong thing or that you might have something react, we found in Australia we've had between 40 and 50 major company CEOs working on it. We found that if they do the first project, they're a little bit hesitant, but then what they can do is they open up and then they volunteer to do and be part of other projects, and so therefore it doesn't become as big an issue. If you look at what we've gone through, right, we started this 5 years ago now, of course, based on hearing about what you guys are doing here, which is brilliant, right? What's happened is that this process of opening up, of getting the CEOs working together, like for example in the case of Lion, right, when Stuart Irvine, we said, Stuart, he said, yes, I'll put up my hand to be able to see how we might be able to have a proof of concept, see how we might be able to actually work across value chain. And the 7 of them that put their hand up at the beginning, right, they didn't know what was kind of going to happen. At the end of the year, when we launched it at COP, they had 35 CEOs working across 5 different value chains. So I think what's happened with us is we've progressed with our CEOs, right, starting from where we did the roadmap to 2030, so that was talking about a concept about how you do it. Then the next phase was talking about, okay, let's start to look at the implementation of that. And the third phase, where we are now, which is brilliant, is let's do some pilots together, like on haulage, led by Toll, to actually determine what's the best method of doing long-haul transport, for example. So for me, I see a lot of great things happening in Australia in terms of the leadership, that they are kind of like rolling up their sleeves. Far be it from me to give New Zealand CEOs whatever, because I was so excited to hear about what you guys had done, right? The whole reaction was, yeah, I'm taking that to Australia, let's work together on this. We were fairly careful about this being CEOs doing CEO work. Then we said to the government at the time That government at the time was in 2020 when we started, was a previous government, and they were a little undecided in terms of what to do about the climate area. So we said, this is CEOs doing CEO work. We're not going to be making any comments about what you're doing or not doing, but if you want us to give you an update in terms of what these 50 major CEOs are doing, we're happy to do that. And so I think that allowed us to corral what we were doing. Second thing is that for me, when I was asked to bring the Richard Branson B team to Australasia, and we do initiatives on both the planet and the people side, but on the planet side, I said to them there was two conditions for which I would bring it to Australasia, and one of them was it was a doing group. I didn't want it just to be an advocacy group. Now the interesting part about that, and I'd like to think it was our great planning of it, but our model, it is a complex model, but it works really well, right? And so what we do is not only get the CEOs, so that's the first thing, the CEOs have to commit to joining the group. They don't have to take on a project, but if they do, we select one CEO that takes the load and the lead, and then we have anywhere number of CEOs that are part of it, and they are the ones that are actually leading the projects. But what's happened to be very powerful is that they also elect a delegate between our two groups that meet a bit more frequently, and the delegates group has been absolutely amazing because we're actually working with counterparts in our other companies, right, which is brilliant. It's been very powerful. This last year we've been doing 7 major projects, right? And we say to the CEOs, you can put any person within your whole company to work on those projects. So some of them have multiple people to do that. And what that's allowed us to do is to really help them define what's important. We only do a project that's really important. Then we only do a project that quite a few of them would gain a lot of information about. We've been very lucky. We've asked our major consulting companies to come and work with us to provide project management, some intellectual capital and admin to make sure that every year we meet those deadlines and those targets. We're always very careful about doing that. So I think that model, although complex, seems to work quite well. You guys started with the government, being very close to the government and having that interaction, whereas we're the opposite. But now you're taking on the implementation mode, right? And to me, oh boy, that's the exciting part, right? To really get in there. And it's brilliant to see that the CEOs who once felt that they didn't know what to do are now really confident about what they're doing and participate a lot more than what they did in the beginning.